First one, we're going to talk about the Magic Johnson theaters, that overall experience.
Okay.
In the beginning, I remember you telling me about the Magic Johnson theaters era. Can you set the scene for us? What year are we in? What was Atlanta feeling like? And what was 401 at the time?
So for the Magic Johnson partnership, this was probably 1997, 1998. We were getting great guests coming inside the school system. So just imagine Usher, Outkast, Monica coming into your school. And what ended up happening, we were getting a lot of calls from other schools saying how we want you guys to come. We want you guys to be a part of. And so from a business perspective, we were looking to scale. We were looking to grow. And it's a tough balance because financially, you have to have eyeballs. You have to have a lot of people in order for a sponsor to feel like they're getting their money worth. But then the quality of the program and what our intention was ended up being kind of watered down. So when Magic Johnson brought his theaters to Atlanta, I was introduced to a woman named Taylor Michaels, who ran Magic Johnson Theaters from MC Light. I went and shared with Light what my vision was, what my idea was, and how I wanted to scale 411. And she told me about her friend that was working at Magic Johnson Theaters and set up a meeting. So I met with Taylor, shared the vision of what we were doing, and the partnership started. It was a simple decision, and what ended up happening, we started bringing 5 schools at a time, again, to try to reach as many young people as we could. So instead of doing it inside the school, we went to Magic Johnson Theaters, invited 5 schools at a time. Each school brought like 100 kids. And so it turned out to be incredible. We got all these kids jumping around. Chaka Zulu was the host.
We'd like to welcome everybody to the 411 Knowledge and Entertainment Show, brought to you by my man John Thomas. My name is Chaka Zulu.
And it was just an incredible experience. But what we realized is that we were losing the quality of the program because it almost turned into a huge pep rally where the conversation was getting lost from the kid that was sitting in the first row all the way to the kid sitting at the top of the theater. He wasn't getting the same engagement. So as exciting as it was, as entertaining as it was, we had to make a decision. Do we stay inside the theaters or do we pivot to have more of an intimate conversation?
Talk about your overall emotion and thought process behind that time period, and then what did you pivot into?
Well, the goal, again, getting with Magic Johnson Theaters, it felt like an incredible outlet because we were inside the schools and we had to watch our conversation. We couldn't talk about any and everything inside the school system because, again, a lot of principals didn't want different types of conversation. So in going to Magic Johnson Theaters, it was almost like our own studio where we could have the conversations that we want, produce the show that we want, the look and all of that. So it was incredibly exciting to partner with Magic Johnson Theaters, and it almost gave us a validity that we belong. It felt like it was a place for us. It felt like what we were doing mattered. And to have a relationship with someone like that, it kind of boosted and gave us a lot of energy within the city that we were here to stay and that we were meant to be here. And then in working with Magic Johnson Theaters, it put us in position to have a conversation with Sprite. And we talked with Sprite about doing a 10-city tour.
Could you imagine if Michael Jordan showed up to your community or whoever that you just dreamed and loved and watched every day on TV and you thought that was superhuman? Just showed up to a community and had something. That one moment right there could be the difference between you making a left and making a right.
Everything in Atlanta was going great, but now I always had a vision of being outside of Atlanta. And so with Magic Johnson Theaters, Taylor gave us a contact with other AMC theaters and Sony theaters throughout the country. And so I sat down with Chaka, we had a conversation, told him I was meeting with Sprite and that I wanted to do this tour. He was with it. And it ended up being an incredible 10-city tour inside movie theaters all across the country, having this conversation with young people about what they're going through. I think the favorite, it was a couple things. One, being able to say 411 is at Magic Johnson Theaters. Just to be able to say that was huge. And then to walk in and see 411 on the marquee and all these kids being excited. And it was just my dream, everything what I thought, I was actually watching it happen. I was super excited just watching me think, this is what we want to do, watching it actually transpire, and then actually watching kids' lives change, actually having an opportunity to speak to people they may have never would have met before in this setting. So I knew we were doing great work. It was just a matter of just one foot in front of the other, stay consistent, and always keep the message alive. I think sky's the limit. I think that's something you can walk away from, because who would ever thought there was a talk show inside Magic Johnson Theaters? And again, this was Magic Johnson's first theater. It was second. He had one out in LA, but coming to Atlanta, he wasn't even doing the Starbook deals yet. This was still early of him becoming an entrepreneur and figuring all these things out. Having someone like him start a movie theater and then actually be a part of it with my dream was something I can look back on and feel accomplished. In hindsight, looking back, it's the opportunities that help you get to the next step. So I'm super grateful for that opportunity and the impact that it had during that time. The mindset was a television show. We were building something to rival Oprah Winfrey, but just for young people. And during this time, there was no place for young people to really see themselves on television at a scale.
Welcome to the 411 Knowledge and Entertainment Show.
John Thomas's Knowledge and Entertainment, the 411.
Everybody to the 411 Knowledge and Entertainment Show.
You had BET, you had some of those shows, but it was very rare you can find young people having a conversation with successful people about their life.
Do you consider yourself a role model for young girls?
I don't have a choice in that either. I accept it as long as all my little fans in America realize that athletes are just as human as they are.
About what they can do in the future, done in a cool way. Yes, you have opportunities where you can just sit down with a mentor and they can kind of guide you, but being able to sit in front of a celebrity, someone you look up to, and have a conversation about your life, their journey, was super impactful, and it was rare. Going into creating these talk shows, Atlanta was so successful. Again, we were probably 7-8 years in of doing the actual program. So we saw the success, we saw the excitement of the kids, and so it just only made sense to kind of expand and see the things that we can do outside of Atlanta. So the goal was to have a national footprint, and it was either get a deal to be able to launch 411 as a talk show. And when we ran into that roadblock, I just, figured we could just do it on ourselves. Let's just pick 10 cities. We have Sprite to give us some money. Let's go around these markets and actually do the show, and then put together a reel to be able to take to a distribution company and say, look, we have impact across the country with this show.
To be here and back on a college campus. My name is Raven Drummer, and I'm an independent casting director, and I work with Telegraph Studios.
There's kids all over the country that will be interested, and my thought was, let me just put our best foot forward. I don't want you to tell me kids in New York wouldn't watch this or kids in LA wouldn't watch this, because I'm showing you that they would. So that was my mindset. But again, I realized business is a little different, and television was a cookie cutter situation. So if Ricky Lake is winning, Jerry Springer is winning, no one's going to invest in something that they don't know will work or not. They would rather invest in something that they do know works, no matter what it does to our culture. It was so many times I wanted to quit. So many times I did quit. But I think that old motto, what God has for you is for you. And when I try to quit, I'll get a phone call saying, hey, I want to be a part of the show, or just some friendly advice, or it was just always something to kind of help my spirit understand that this is what it is. And although my vision of what I thought it was didn't actually come to fruition, it still put me on a path to understand my why. Why are we doing this? So although the entertainment space was how I introduced it, it was more important to be a part of the community, because if that's who we're speaking to, it only makes sense to figure out their needs, their desires, their wants, and have it firsthand versus through a television. So that was one of the learning lessons that I learned. Just keep going and the answers will come. Also, as we talk about a lot of these things, we talk about the successes and a lot of the things that we overcome and achieving dreams and doing those things. But there was a couple instances where I honestly thought it was over, and it was learning lessons. And it happened at Magic Johnson Theaters, where it was the Cartoon Network. We were doing a show with Cartoon Network. We had the executives come, we had the artists, the illustrators, and everybody that works on a cartoon. It was a great partnership with Turner, and they brought their whole staff. Chaka was hosting, and we set up the cameras. We had everything. The studio was great, the sound was great, everybody was in the space. And I get a call from one of the schools, and they said, "Were you expecting us to come to Magic Johnson Theaters today?" And I was like, "Yes, we're sitting here waiting for the buses to pull up." They said, "Unfortunately, they won't be there. They put the wrong day. They're supposed to come there tomorrow." So now I'm on the phone and have to walk back into the theater to let Cartoon Network know, Magic Johnson Theaters know, everybody that came to see it. I had to go and face and let them know that the show wasn't happening. So that was one of the hardest moments. And I remember when everybody left, there was a movie called Jerry Maguire that came out that day. I sat in the theater by myself, watched that theater, felt so sad. But once the movie was over, I was inspired. And I felt that that was just a stepping stone for me to understand that you gotta have to pivot. Everything's not gonna always work when you want it to work, but you still have to keep moving. You still have to save face, you still have to be responsible, and you have to do it with grace. And so that was an incredible learning lesson when I thought, it was over.
And if you could talk to yourself during that time period, what would be something that you would say?
Just don't stop. Although you don't see the end, everything else feels right. And it trusts you, it allows you to trust your spirit more so than what you see. That was a huge lesson. All of us have a spirit that speaks to us silently, and a lot of times we don't pay attention to it because it might not be popular or it may go against our wants and desires, but it's always there. So I've learned over this time to really pay attention to that, because that's really, in my opinion, God speaking to you.